He replied that the CID had said they'd probably have the culprit in about 2 weeks, and that yes, folks, you guessed it, it was a teacher. I hemmed politely and asked if said teacher was still here at the school, and he said yes. At which point I burst out with something like, "Oh, that's just fucking wonderful," because he said that Scott had told him all this in confidence. I stupidly did not ask the obvious question, who? But as John pointed out later, who knows? Perhaps the CID just threw it out there to see if they could provoke a reaction, see if anyone bolted. Now I'm over at Pat's. Next I'll probably be at John's. Next I'll probably, in short, be anywhere but home. Please inform Tom if he wants to reach me I'm not home. There are 3 phone numbers at the end of this letter. Anyway, I'm going to eat, and then I'll finish this letter. By the way, Eileen and Pat are roommates until March, when Tommy goes back to the States via Thailand and Pat moves in with me. Anyway, hours later, on with the bad news. So I said, "Oh, that's just fucking great," etc., without asking the obvious. Well, Dennis hung out with us for a bit. I threw out a couple of floaters like, "Poor Tommy, she's so paranoid," understandably, when I come home late. And Dennis just turned his head without a word of sympathy for Tommy. Then again, at this point, you understand my paranoia has reached fever pitch. If he'd reacted any other way, I'd interpret it in a negative light anyhow, since I've now convinced myself that I'm living with the murderers. Now, having just spoken to Pat, her theory is that Tommy is not the one, but that she knows more than she's telling, on account of Tommy and Carolyn having been such allegedly good friends. The next thing that happened was Dennis left, and I informed John that I was staying at his apartment from now until I could figure out whether I was paranoid or not. Overly so, that is. Well, I'll continue this later. Next, what happened this AM with Tommy, including revelation of FBI involvement and Tommy's denial, vehement, that a foreigner, that's us, could be under suspicion. Am I making a story out of this? Yes. Is there a story in this? Yes. Okay. So, in the cold light of day, it all seems silly, only it's night again. And daredevil, I'm home again. So I open the door. "Hi, I'm back. Tommy's there. Asked me if I want to go out for lunch. Sure, I do. Whatever you say, friend." So we do. On the way back, she wants me to stop in at the cops' way station to meet Officer Joe, or Cho, with whom she became friends during the investigation, whom she's mentioned to me on occasion. So Joe or Cho, she's talking on the phone right now to the Japanese boyfriend, I think, about the matter. Okay, it's now about 4 hours later. What a jag. I'd had it all prepared to lead up to Tanya as being prime suspect, and then she started sobbing on the phone. Naturally, my heart went out to her, and I jumped up and hugged her and went out for a few, beers. On the other hand, I did get a few more details from her, so now there's that much more to write. Save this letter. It's costing me a fortune to mail. And it's the first, maybe the only written record of the murder, soon to become a bestseller. So, this Officer Joe or Cho, mentions that the FBI has sent an agent over, and therefore it's 85 to 90% sure that the murder was a foreigner. It sounded reasonable to me. So Tommy says firmly that no, because the tape deck was hacked by a Korean, it's more like 50-50% chance. Then when Officer Joe is distracted by a phone call briefly, she swings her head towards a chart on the wall and says, "That's Carolyn's apartment." Sure fucking enough, there's a crudely drawn layout of an apartment with a crude figure drawn on the bed, with dash marks crudely drawn on, as on the cover of a cheap murder mystery. Anyhow, I'd love to go on, but it's 3 a.m., so I'll continue tomorrow. Days later. It turns out, according to the latest grapevine news from those interviewed by CID, that Tommy is not prime but secondary suspect, with co-secondary being Tamara. Primes are Kathy, now in the States, and a student, likewise now in the States. Don't know if in the same place. But to continue chronologically, after we left Officer Joe's, Tommy was all pissed off and expressed contempt for the idea of a foreigner having killed Carolyn. Understandable that she'd prefer to be a stranger, a Korean, I guess. But paranoid that I am, everything strikes me as odd. It takes me a while to catch on, yeah. Rumors grow next day again. Rumors grow fast and thick. I conjecture that, no, never mind, I'm not making conjectures, you can do that. Rumors overheard about film, rolls of film and shoes, etc., having to do with the CID investigation. Anyhow, the other night when I went out with Timmy, she said as how she'd been so perplexed by the autopsy report, which per Timmy said that she, Carolyn, hadn't been sexually molested, but 5-day-old semen had been found in her womb. And Timmy was puzzled because Carolyn and Kathy and she had told each other everything, in quotes. But Carolyn had never mentioned getting laid, and in fact had always gone on about missing her boyfriend in Japan. Timmy also said the murder weapon had never been found, and she described finding the bod. Turns out there were 2 Korean men friends with her and Kathy at the time. They were actually students that they had dragged along. And being grilled by the Korean police for 6 hours in the apartment Carolyn's that day. She said none of the knives in Carolyn's house were deemed to have been big or sharp enough to do the dirty deed, and added, and I can attest to that, meaning I guess she used to cook at Carolyn's. The evening before yesterday, I came home with her after work. She was going to take a lie detector the next day with the CID, and was waxing nostalgic about Carolyn and how she used to hang out every night at our apartment and sleep on the couch. Incidentally, all of Carolyn's stuff is at our apartment in boxes. Seems Timmy volunteered to take it in. Yesterday was hell, a hell of a day. First, this must be another day. First, a student in my 6 to 8 p.m. class has a grand mal epileptic seizure out of nowhere, rattling my nerves and astounding our classmates. Go out for the usual beers after work with about 5 other teachers, Timmy not included. Get home at 2 a.m., walk in my fucking front door. There's an American man in the hall and 2 Korean gentlemen sitting on the couch. Ah, hi, I say. Special Agent John Boatwright, CID, says he. Fucking A. Timmy appears wandering glassy-eyed to the apartment. Can I help you with something? I asked the guy. No, Tommy's just trying to remember some things. Ah, right. Well, guess I'll be off to bed. I go, I change. I return to living room, kitchen area. Make undesired cup of coffee. Try to get a little info out of Special Agent John Boatwright. Timmy seems to be in her room. He was looking for bloody clothes on the Nolta camera and phone receipts from calls to Japan. More later, must go now. Sorry about the handwriting here and there throughout this letter. It's been written in various places in varying degrees of insobriety, overtiredness, and haste. I know I can't write it over again now. Save it for me and give it to Tom to save. I want to type it when I get back. Thanks. That last bit was written this AM on about 5 hours of nervous sleep, limited time available at lunch in a restaurant. Anyway, so the Special Agent Boatwright mentioned these things to me in a lowered voice. So I answered, I just know about jack shit about anything. The lad is how he figured some people were covering up for other people. All I knew about cameras and clothes were that the night I arrived, Tommy's mother was visiting me from the States for a few weeks, and she had a camera, and that Carolyn's clothes were on the porch, which he knew, of course. He'd rummaged through them a bit just before he sat down with me. But I forgot to tell him about the phone receipts I found in my desk drawer when I first got here. At least now I think that's what they might have been, having seen Korean phone bills since then. Then again, I can't remember exactly what they looked like. Fuck all. He gave me his card in case I thought of anything. At one point, I brilliantly asked him if I was in any danger. And of course, he said no. Anyway, they were all there when I went to bed. I woke up this AM and didn't see anyone in the house, but Tiny's jacket in the living room and her bedroom door shut, and remains of takeout food outside the front door. With takeout or delivered food here, it comes in real dishes that the people come back and collect. Maybe Boatwright was in her room all night because Tiny wasn't in work today, and I heard Boatwright had called in for her and has apparently been with her all day, and the Korean police have been with Sunmi, her Korean friend who actually let me into the house the night I arrived here, as Tommy and Mom were out. Sunmi stays in the spare room a lot and has a key to the house. I have no idea if I'm going home tonight or not. It's been like that since I arrived. My own reactions and actions have varied wildly, but I've been careful in my little way. And though now it seems like it's ending soon, I'm twice as tense, nervous, and paranoid as before. Suddenly, I'm holding up thanks to the recovery room at the school. It's a room with bunk beds in the school for the teachers. And at least I have something to write home about. I know this must all seem weird as hell to you, but I'm all right. And if I really thought I was in danger, I'd never go back to the house. I don't think Timmy did it. Of course, I did go back to the house. I don't think Timmy did it. I don't think she's clean either. Then again, on other days at other hours, I'm not sure. So read Tom this letter. Phone number. Damn.
Hmm? Some letter, kid.
Well, that was before I knew anything. I can't believe it. I didn't know even.
You still didn't know anything yet, yeah. I heard that the whole way.